Good evening, gearheads, and welcome to your Sunday night with Speed City. This is Jon Massengale. I'm in the studio in Austin, and across the table from me is Jonathan Green.
That me?
How are you, sir?
Very well, very well.
And from his home studio in Atlanta, Georgia, is the incomparable Bob Varsha. Bob, how are you, buddy?
Doing fine, thanks. But I hope you'll check Jonathan's medication somewhere in the next hour.
Yeah.
Like Casey said.
Oh, no! Oh, mayhem!
We got Jonathan and me with an extra hour's sleep. So we are.
It's such a waste of time. It's very childish. Really annoying.
See, Max gets me every time with that line. Because he sounds so authoritative. It's like a school teacher, isn't it? That's just so childish.
Right.
Great job, Casey. All right, guys.
I don't need to hear it again. It's really pissing me off.
Oh, dear.
Max Verstappen has joined the chat, and we're going to talk some motorsports tonight, mostly Formula One. But we got Titus Sherlock, who is the FR Americas, the regional FIA.
Formula Regional, yep.
Yeah, the Formula Regional FIA.
Just newly crowned.
That's right. We've had lots of young Americans. And where's Titus from?
He's from Prosper. Actually, he was born in California, but he hails now from Prosper, Texas, just north of Dallas.
Well, that'll work. We had a lot of young Texan drivers on lately.
That's one of the things I want to talk to him about because, he like everybody, is aware just how many Texans that he's fighting against now because it really has exploded.
He can't just be the fastest in Texas because there's too many of them.
Right.
In both FR and F4.
And one of the things I think we'll talk to Titus about, because he's been with both Kiwi Motorsport, who are based in Dallas, and literally their neighbors are Crosslink, and they were together as a team, but now they've separated, and he's driven for both teams. So, he's seen quite a few drivers, Jet Bowling and Cooper Shipman and so on and so forth, come through the ranks.
Well, we're going to talk Formula One first. We have a championship battle underway, gentlemen. We're down to 1 point between Lando Norris, who now leads the championship, and Oscar Piastri. And so we got lots to look forward to in these last four races, and including Las Vegas, where we will be on site, on the PA, on the radio, in the paddock, roaming the grounds. So we're excited for that. And
causing trouble.
Causing mayhem. But I'm
Do it live! Yeah, exactly.
Doing it live. And I want to start with a story that Bob Varsha put in the show doc for us here, talking about how F1
team orders already, huh?
Yeah.
I see how that goes.
Yeah.
Fine.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I see. Speed City rules.
That's right. We got to come up with a fancy name like Papaya, but
do I get to pit first, though?
You do get to pit first.
Okay,
you can go right now if you'd like to.
Ouch!
Bob, F1 defends their broadcast approach after criticism from drivers and fans. Let's start with that one.
Well, go back a couple of weeks and you'll hear from Carlos Sainz specifically about how the TV production unit, which is a part of F1, are ignoring some good action by switching over to shots of celebrities and girlfriends and pits with all the mechanics sitting down waiting quietly for the next pit stop, basically losing the plot of a race.
Yeah, covering everything but the race was the big criticism.
Right. Yeah. And recently, the head of the broadcast unit came in and said, "Look, guys, here's how this works. It's not just about the race. The race is prominent. That's the top priority. But," and he used an example that I have a whole bunch over the years. He said, "Race cars coming at you up close could be anywhere in the world. And we feel it's our job not only to show the race and tell the stories and all that sort of thing, but also to take people somewhere and show them that, Monza is different than Monaco and so on. So we have that obligation too." I'm not sure he placated anybody by trying to explain that the job wasn't just race cars all the time. And, Sainz had an argument because he made several passes, 4 or 5 passes, that basically went ignored in Mexico. So he was a little hot about that.
I don't blame him. I like all the rest of it, but I don't want to miss some passing unless it's just a DRS pass.
It's a very tough. The director of a Formula One race is a tough job.
Yeah, and he didn't. Formula One didn't address the fact that you've got a whale of a battle going on in the midfield. And I think that was what Sainz was specifically referring to. And I think Charles Leclerc backed him up. There's great racing going on that's not being shown. Now, as you were just saying, John, it's tough to be the director of a race like this. I mean, you've got 20 cars spread all around a 2.5-mile circuit. You're not going to get everything, but you hope you catch most of the action so that you can replay stuff you don't get live. But one way or another, Carlos specifically said there's too much off track that we're doing.
Yeah, and my argument would be this. I think in today's modern world of entertainment and sports entertainment stroke coverage live, I think you've got to have a balance. And I think a die-in-the-wool motor racing fan who just wants racing and pit stops and all the rest of it is kind of passé now. I think you've got to, and you can do it with boxers, but the girlfriends and the emotions, Zach Brown smashing his fist down, or Toto, those are important human
side glances.
Well, I mean, let's face it. When you're looking at a racing car, you're not seeing a human. You're just seeing a dot. Yeah, there's a human in there, but you're not looking at a human, and you're not getting any reaction unless you get the radio. Hence, the radio is used, and sometimes people like it. Sometimes it's actually irrelevant or miscommunicated because we don't know what was said before or after. So it's not an easy balance, but I am all for both radio, girlfriend's reaction, team boss reaction, fans reaction, and even mechanics and so on when they get it wrong or they get a pit stop wrong. That's adding to the drama.
Why do you think they zoom? That's right. When they zoom into that mechanic's face when their driver crashes, especially when they've been doing it a lot, they can't hide that emotion.
Give you an example. I've just watched NASCAR. I'm watching NASCAR.
Still watching it right now.
Kyle Larson came in for a pit stop. Didn't know, he had a puncture, so they had to jack up the car. But what we didn't see, so they jacked up the car. That was the story, and he got it under there, and there's rules, and they explained it to us. They got him out. They got the burst tire because it's hard to jack up a car. But what was interesting is at the front of the car, the front left, the mechanic did an awesome job when the lug nut, which is magnetic, did not fix to the car. So he whipped one off his belt, a spare one, and quickly put it on Larson's car. Now, we would never have seen that, but for the eagle eyes of the slow-mo guys and the guys with, and it added to the story because you're like, Larson's trying to win the championship, and oh my God, that lug nut could have stopped him.
Yeah.
And that is good TV, that is good work, that is good, good sport. Yep. And so, I hear what science says. I hear what science says, but I really do think that there's a balance to be had.
Yep, and I agree with that. And Bob, if you recall, there was a story in, I think it was, it was on crash.net, and they were talking about actually how much time was spent cut away, and it was just something like a minute and a half of the total race. So it wasn't a whole lot, but anyway, it's a good story. I know we've touched on it before, but I saw there was F1 TV themselves was defending it. So Jonathan, I want to go to a story you put in. You talked about Red Bull dropped latest Yuki Tsunoda verdict. I haven't seen this story, but the headline caught my eye. So
basically, what they basically deferred their decision on Yuki because he's going better and better. And the comment that sticks out to me
a little bit.
But the story what they were saying in this story is Yuki's position of 11th was not respective of what he did. In other words, they kind of ruined his day a little bit, right?
The team did.
The team did.
Right.
But what was more important was that they looked back to earlier in the weekend where they said, you know what? Yuki was in 0.3 of a second of Max in several of the sessions. And that, as you know, Helmut Marko has said, that's what he wants, is to see the second driver at least within 0.3 to half a second. And then you're worthy of being his teammate and therefore able to help him perhaps in a circumstance like now with 4 races to go to score points or hold people back or do whatever it might be to be a team player. Yeah. And so what that story is to say they haven't made a decision on Yuki.
Yeah. And 0.3, it's kind of funny. That's where Hamilton was for a long time behind Leclerc, although I think he's decreasing that gap. but it's been around that range in Formula One.
Yeah.
So,
and I think in motor racing, half a second is good. If you're within
Well, if
half
it's
a second,
max,
yeah. Well, if you're within half a
Yeah.
second of the world champ or the current champion of that series, whether it be Porsche, whether it be FR or whatever, that's good enough because half a second can be found. If you're we'll ask Titus because he is a racing driver. But if you're 1.2 seconds, that's a whole different ball game, especially if you have the same equipment and you're in the same team. Because the presumption is that you should be on equal material. So if you're 1.2 seconds, you're not as good as the driver ahead of you, and you need to improve.
yeah. All right, Bob, back to you. George Russell has confirmed there are performance-related guarantees in his Mercedes contract to race in 2027 as well as next season. Yeah, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't go into the details in this interview, but there are clauses in there. I mean, typically, the standard Formula One contract is a 1+1, so 2 seasons. But there's a clause in the middle. If the team's not performing, if the driver's not performing, they have mutual outs. Now, he wouldn't shed any light on what that all means, but George Russell clearly is willing to stand up for himself and say, this is what I want. This is what I need. And once the team gave up on getting Max Verstappen over, I'm sure they were more than willing to give George what he wants. But still, there are mutual outs on both sides.
Am I right in saying that Toto, though, is his manager?
Yes. Well, Mercedes
I was going to say
manages George,
Yeah.
which is bizarre.
Well,
Yeah.
because Toto is a third owns a
Right.
third of Mercedes
Right.
AMG.
Correct.
So it's an odd one, isn't it? Because you there are stipulations of if performance, but you're negotiating with your team manager.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, the best example I can think of, the opposite of that right now, is Piastri with Mark Webber.
Yes.
You know, a very crafty, clever former race driver who's been through it all, run through the ringer against Sebastian Vettel, who knows how to negotiate with the team.
And I'd go one further and say, and got screwed by Red Bull
Yeah. Well,
and Vettel
in the
over
back of
his
my
career.
brain, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I really should have just said it.
Yeah.
So, hey, so what do you guys think about the FIA legal action over allegations of serious democratic failings?
I hate it. I really do. And
They're summoned into a French court, right?
Oh, sacre bleu! Le Louvre! Wow, they're doing it in front of Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Good.
But
Is
yeah,
the Mona Lisa still in the Louvre, or did somebody steal that too?
No, she's there.
But so the headline
Okay.
is the FIA has been summoned into a French court after intended presidential candidate Laura Villars launched legal action over serious democratic failings relating to the election process, which just doesn't feel right now. This election process, same reason Tim Mayer dropped out, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We don't often get into this side of the sport, but I've never enjoyed the whole FIA presidential system. As
process.
it were. Yeah, because it's unlike any other. You lobby to the sporting academy, sporting what do you call them, Bob? ASMs. The governing bodies of each of the countries.
Yeah.
And
The individual clubs.
And you offer them, stipends, you offer them incentives to say, hey, if you vote for me, we will make sure that you have FRECA status for this championship, or it's all a little bit cloak and dagger. And I for one don't know all the rules and regulations, but what I don't like to see when somebody is running for election, that they run unopposed, and that's not. I mean, forget democracy for a second. That's not the way anybody should be picked for a job.
Yep. All right, guys, we need to get a quick break in. But when we come back, we're going to talk about Leclerc's, the reason that he hasn't been driving good. We're going to talk about one of the drivers got engaged, and also a F1 movie sequel, maybe. Back after this. All right, let's check in with the YouTubers. Andy P is here. He says, Bob Varsha, world traveler, back from Mexico, Bob. Let's see.
Indeed.
Oh, Andy says, talking about
Austin before that.
Yeah. And if you don't watch, Andy says, if you don't watch with an onboard, you're missing out. We're talking about our discussion. All right, let's check in. Too many reaction shots. Mike Bowles is here. Evening, everyone. Mike's like the furniture, too. He's always here. Andy says, all that said, the F1 broadcast literally goes out to 1 billion people is a work of art. But as art, it can be critiqued. I like that, Andy. All right, we got a few other people in the stream, so chime in, anybody, all you want.
Yeah, I mean,
any of the stories you want me to jump into before we come back?
And like I said, the more I think about what we've just been discussing, the more I think that to put an end note or a footnote on it, I actually think with Apple and the future over the next 10 years, as broadcast changes and becomes more multi-platform.
All right, continue that.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, during the break, we were chatting with the YouTubers. Jonathan, you were making a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that as we bring Apple on board and as is their wont or is their creativity, let's face it, Apple made the F1 movie. They made a lot of ground up with camera angles and so on. And I do think the boffins and the creative world that is Hollywood, that is Apple, that is now getting into sports in a big way in F1, will look for different ways of purveying it. And I think that we're going to get into a situation where you will watch the live feed on whether it's a computer or your television, and you will then also have the ability on an iPad or a second screen or a box screen that you choose to put up to be able to see other things, not just on boards. Perhaps there'll be a camera over every pit stop so that you can sit there and go, ooh, McLaren are getting their tires out. And you can go too far. We tried to do this with Sky when I was at Sky in the UK, where you could basically direct the soccer of a soccer match. You could go behind the net, you could go to the corner, you could go high above, you could be, you know what I mean? So, but of course, why would you work to be a director when you're trying to relax? This is your fun. You don't want to sit there directing TV. But there's going to be, but we are now more interactive, and I think people will be, people will see a girlfriend or see some jewelry, and then they will have that opportunity to, maybe sidestep the current coverage to go and look at something, whether it be buying merchandise or whether it be looking into, who is that actress? What's she been in? Because people are already doing it, because we have that ability with a phone. And I think that will be embraced by an Apple, and they will use it as a commercial tool to sell things.
Yeah.
Whether it be team, whatever, team merchandise, or whether it be actually something like, okay, I don't know who Expensify are on the F1 movie. Oh, it's a company. This is what they do, and, same with sponsors and so on. And I think you're seeing more activations. Aston Martin are doing it now ahead of Saudi Arabia, with mentioning a new sponsor and a new partner. So I just think that the creative minds will take this sport and go, look, we've been doing it one way for 70 years, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and that's been fine. But now the playing field has changed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's shift gears, Bob. You dropped in a story that a sequel to the F1 movie, and Bob, you're our tabloid reporter, right? You get the National Enquirer, and you follow all the TV shows. Jerry Bruckheimer confirms Lewis Hamilton
Famous
meeting.
Status is what he's got.
Jerry Bruckheimer confirms Lewis Hamilton meeting over F1 sequel. What do you think, Bob?
Well, I rarely get beyond page 6 in the tabloids, but be that as it may. Yeah, apparently it's this huge success. Over $630 million worldwide.
Biggest sports movie ever.
Discussions. Yeah, so it's discussions going on between Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer, and Lewis Hamilton, who was an executive producer and a key technical
consultant
observer, and about a sequel. And I don't know how Brad Pitt feels about it, because apparently on the last day of filming, Lewis came up and said, "You're too old to be a Formula One driver."
That's
and
right.
Brad took that pretty hard, apparently. But
he'll be a team principal in the next one.
Yeah, right. But anyway, they're planning to go forward. I don't know if there's a script. I don't know if they have stars. I don't know if they have race cars. I have no idea what happened to the cars they built to shoot the movie, but that'd be a nice thing to have. Anyway, so it's a real possibility. It's not sky high thinking. It's just what they think they can do. And if you can go out and spend a couple $100 million and make 2 or 3 times your investment, I'd say that's a handy thing.
Yeah, I don't see why not. They'll do like everything else.
Yeah.
They'll just run it into the dirt until they stop making money. Okay, Jonathan.
My guess is there will be a female driver character.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
A little bit of criticism is what you're referring to. Yeah. So, hey, Greenie, Charles Leclerc got engaged. You see that?
I did not.
Engaged to his longtime partner, Alexandra Saint-Milieu.
So he's not going to court in
Saying that
France,
wrong.
in Paris, then?
He's not.
No.
Well, I don't know where they're going to get married on the courthouse steps in Paris, maybe.
But maybe they could do a double ceremony, where we talk to the FIA and we marry Charles.
It's yeah. Get
I saw her in Mexico. I walked past her. She had about 4 or 5 other young women with her, all of them devastatingly gorgeous. And she was carrying Leo. That was the dead giveaway. As I saw
dog.
Leclerc's, his pup,
His
the dachshund Leo.
Probably what did it,
Yeah.
Bob. He probably saw you scowling at her and was like, "Man, I better put a ring on this finger because Big Bob's out there with his fluffy hair."
All right, the next story
He
is.
didn't even growl at me.
I want to talk about Bob. You put this one in, but I want
God, okay, another Bob.
I know, but I want to get your take on it first because
I get paid by the story.
Jacques Villeneuve says the lead made Oscar Piastri complacent. The lead that he had.
Yep.
Well, what's your take on that first, Greenie? First of all, knowing who said it, Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, Jacques Villeneuve said it made him a poppycock. There you go. That's fine. I don't agree with that. I don't think he's complacent in any way, shape, or form. I believe that the through story, and it's in my stories, if you bother to look at them. No. I think that Piastri has been struggling to adjust to what his quote was: 18 races, fine. The last 2, I've had to change my driving style, and I'm off the pace, and I haven't learned how to do that. So something's happened within the car development, whether it be both sides of the garage, I don't know, or whether it just be his, and he's lost a feeling somewhere for it. That, to me, is a more realistic story than him being complacent. I mean, I know what Jack's saying, and Jack, of all people, should be listened to, because I've been saying this. I've been banging this drum. You may have one chance at a world title. Jack did, and he took it. And he took it with Indy, too. So I don't think in a 24-year-old's, 26-year-old's head there is any room for complacency at that level, because this is it. It could be your one and only shot.
Especially at the end of a rules situation where we're about to change.
And already rumors are now, he's going to lose the title, and therefore, he should go to Aston Martin, and therefore, he should go to Red Bull, whatever. I mean, I'll listen to Jack. I'd love to read the story, but I don't. You asked me first.
Yeah, Bob, any comment?
Well, with total respect to Jonathan's point of view, what Jack was saying, I disagree, essentially. What Jack was saying is, when you have that early success for whatever reason, and you open this points lead, and you're feeling good, you're not pressing the car as far as it can go, perhaps. It's not that you are slowing down, which is the first thing you might think about as the rest of the field draws close. The fact is they are getting better. And if you're not aware of that, and if you're not prepared to deal with that by picking up the pace, I mean, his driving style, Oscar Piastri's, was just fine through, 10 races. And then it wasn't fine anymore. And it's not like you forgot how to drive the car to its maximum extent. But these guys are growing close, and you need to know how to deal with that mentally. I think Gilles is just, Gilles, my gosh, that Villeneuve is just saying, you gotta have your head on a swivel, so to speak. You gotta see what's happening around you, and
you can't let off.
And both points of view are obviously an opinion.
I will footnote my opinion by saying, if I were Oscar Piastri and I was on the treadmill in the gym, I'd be kicking myself silly, going, how the hell did I lose 34 points when I had such and there's nothing I can do about Verstappen coming back at me. That's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about Russell being competitive at Singapore and continuing. There's nothing I can do about Ferrari. But I've got to up my game because I've lost all my points. And now I'm 1 point behind my teammate, who by psychological inference will have McLaren's, it really is gloves off now. Whoever starts to lead in these next four races, the team has to be psychologically behind that guy because only one of them can win it. So if we leave Saudi Arabia with Lando with a 10-point lead, I hate to say it, but that could be it. So, Oscar needs to pull his pants up and get going. And he needs to leave Saudi Arabia with the lead.
Andy P., the America's biggest
Saudi Arabia
McLaren
is
fan, says
one of the first races of the season. You sure you mean Saudi?
Oh, you meant Bahrain?
No, coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, coming up. Okay. Well, look, let's hear what Andy P. says. He says, "I've talked about this, and Lando has said it. He's more comfortable being uncomfortable right now than Oscar."
Sorry, I meant Brazil.
Next week.
Yes.
Brazil.
Yes. So
I think what we've seen, it's okay to say that, these marginal differences are having a big impact on various drivers. But what we've seen during that big loss of points by Oscar Piastri is 2 crashes in Baku. I think he's overdriving now and maybe feeling a little lost with the car that really hasn't changed all that much.
Well, and Todd Dauber says, didn't McLaren have 2 different front-end setups going into the summer break, and Oscar didn't like the new upgrades, and he was driving the old setup? That is true. They were driving different setups. So,
and I do think that Lando has experienced a run to the title, which I don't think he ever really believed he was going to win last year, but he was close.
Yeah.
But he's been in that fray. Whereas Oscar, like you said, I'm changing my mind now. I'm agreeing with Jack. But no, I do think that Oscar's not experienced the loss of that many points to suddenly make it a reality when it really truly is on the line.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about Titus Sherlock, who just won the FR America's Championship, a young Texan driver. But we're gonna do something we haven't done a lot, and we're gonna play this audio if you're on the radio. But if you're watching on YouTube, it's a video, and it's well produced. It's something that we've been doing, we've been dabbling in, and these are really well done. Jonathan, tell.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I wasn't doing the commentary for FR and F4 this year, but I do love being involved in it, and I know everybody involved, and so I got myself in a situation where I kind of made myself an exec producer of following some of these young guys, including Titus, and it really interested me because the 2 teams, Kiwi and Crosslink, they're called, are both based in Dallas. So there's a real emergence of talent, both team-wise and young talent being, as drivers, that, primarily are from Texas because they're so near to where those 2 teams are. But we're getting more and more young drivers now that have got the talent to go all the way to Indy or Formula One. And finally, I think we can argue that FR is now in Americas, FR Americas, is now becoming, a place where Kirkwood, where Malukas, where all of these guys have come from. So there is a talent pool now being nurtured.
And proven.
Yep. Scott Goodyear is the race director. He's really good with them. They learn how to race. They learn how to race fairly. I would argue that the FR Championship had drama, but the racing was clean as heck. Really good. Really, really good. Anyway, this is a fairy tale story because Titus Sherlock is not born with a silver spoon. He works a 9-to-5 job every day of his life. And, frankly, he's swimming in the rich boys' pool. And I'm going to say it like it is because he has had to work and pull his bootstraps up to get him to where he is. And he's finally come good. He wins $100,000 for the title. It sounds a lot, but it ain't, because if you want to go to the next level of Indy Next, it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
So, but hey, you win a championship. It kind of isn't about the money. It's about prestige, and it's about the fact that you have the ability to be trusted to bring the car home, and more importantly, and it certainly shows in his season, to be fast and consistent. And it could have been any one of the 4 of them in this championship, and in fact, it went down to the wire. This video is from the penultimate round, where basically the championship was hanging by a thread. He had come back very similar to Lando from some 40 points down. He'd already put it out of his mind, saying, I'm done, but I'm just going to finish this damn
Put my
thing
head
season
down.
on a higher, and who knows? And he was right. So this is Titus Sherlock from Prosper, Texas, 21 years old, and here is his story. As the FR Americas Championship arrives at the iconic venue of Virginia International Raceway for the penultimate round of the 25 Championship, there's an air of anticipation in the title chase which is palpable. For Crosslink Motorsports from Dallas, Texas, there's a chance of winning their first title as a standalone team in what's been a tumultuous season of highs and lows, and yet somehow they're still in it with 4 races to go, led by their senior driver, 21-year-old Titus Sherlock of Prosper, Texas.
I mean, we're pretty close in points. We need a good weekend this weekend to get more comfortable in the points situation. But I think that we've got the car, we've got the driver. I think we can get right back into this thing, and that's what we're hoping for at this point.
Well, Titus, of course, I had heard about before I showed up here. The thing about Titus is he seems to be very calm and collected, if you will. I think he thinks things through, if you will, and certainly absorbs, like I mentioned before, he does absorb quite a bit and brings that forward to the table. But what I like about him, and certainly the things that I see, is just this straight line approach to where there's not a lot of emotion involved and that sort of thing. And I think some of the best I've worked with are very calm and collected in this environment, and you don't see a lot of those highs and lows. But I think he shows great promise. He needs to just continue to develop and learn and absorb and move forward. Here to learn, has got a good ear. He's got a very monotone approach, if you will. I'll use that term loosely. Very straightforward, and you don't see a lot of differential between the highs and the lows, if you will. And that's what we all like to see. On the technical side as well, those that kind of keep their calm and can see the problems before they happen, and or when they do happen, address it and try to prepare for the best, and the worst at the same time.
Yeah, really positive. Just managed to pit Bruno there at the end of qualifying, so I'm ahead of who I need to be. But of course, I still want to win the race. It was really close to pole as well, so it's going to be a competitive race. And the goal is to win, but of course, Christian's not in the championship, so it's really about finishing ahead of Bruno and Nicholas.
Keeping your emotions in check in this high adrenaline sport is vital. But Titus has the perfect mentor in his uncle, Tony DiCarlo, who's also a racing driver. He keeps him on the path to the goal, and together they make a potent force of calm execution.
Yeah, I'm hoping it could all just kind of wrap up and come together, About a month and a half ago, or even 4 weeks ago, I thought the championship was over. I had no chance. I was accepting that. But we had a mega Canada, and they did not. So we're right back in, only 11 points off the lead. And with everything that's been up and down over the last 2 years, I really hope we can end this on a high. I think we've been, I'd say, consistently the fastest in the races over the course of the year, and hopefully we can just top that off with these last two. Ahead of them in qualifying, so hopefully we're going to get to the end of this race and have a good weekend, and then, of course, do it again in Barber.
He's a fighter. He's going to keep fighting until the bitter end, and we promised him that we'd keep good stuff underneath him, and all he had to do was drive it, and he's performed perfectly. He's the same all the time. He's calm. It's nice having a driver out there that is getting every single thing he could out of that car, and taking care of it at the same time.
Yeah, I raced here 2 years ago in F4, and I got a almost podium until I spun on the last lap in the rain, but it's a decent track. We've been quick this weekend so far, within a tenth or so of first every single session, so it's been good.
For race one, Titus starts on the dirty and therefore less grippy side of the track and pays the price, going from second to fourth, finding himself in a battle for third, with Ribeiro in second and Brooks leading. His other rival, Ambiado, just behind.
Yeah, I just kind of struggled. We were starting on the left side of the grid, which was just covered in marbles, so the whole right line got a big launch. So I dropped to third, and then we had a safety car pretty soon after that. And then there was a really weird restart where there was no safety car, and then Bruno didn't know we were going, so the next car just kind of freight trained by me, got stuck there. Then Bruno, unfortunately for him, blew his engine, which caused a safety car. He was out of the race, and I was up to third. And from there, just kind of stayed there. We had restart after restart, only making it about halfway through the lap. and just didn't quite have the pace of the 2 cars ahead, it seemed like. Yeah, I just felt like I had low grip just kind of everywhere. It wasn't really a balance thing, just felt like I couldn't get the power down, couldn't turn in. Felt like we were struggling on the straight line a bit as well, so it was just tough. Didn't feel like I had a whole lot of speed in the car to go forward, and was actually looking backwards more than I was forwards at times, so that's not optimal, but got to the end and got good points. Yeah, when the last safety car came out, I was pretty much touching Golan's attenuator in the last corner. Was about to hopefully have a good run on him, but the safety car came out again in the same spot, so didn't get to set that lap time and didn't get to get the pass done either. I think I could have maybe gotten into turn 1 that time because I was really close, but we'll never know now. Maybe as the run, if we would have gotten a longer run, I could have basically gotten into it because I think we were a little bit lower tire pressure to account for having a longer run. So just struggle with that a little bit, but like you said, I mean, it's a good points day. I'm not going to be too upset, but really wish we could have had a better start/race there because as well, because we were kind of battling during the only green flag laps we had. So I'll be starting 5th tomorrow, which is unoptimal. But I didn't think it happened, and like you said, good day for points. We'll see if that one was full points. I'm not sure. I'm going to assume it's not because I think we did maybe 3 full laps. So again, but it is how the game goes sometimes.
It wasn't the result we wanted, but it was the break we needed. So we're right back in it right now. I think we're within 4 points. We just got to keep our heads down, make sure that we're doing the prep that we need to do, and give him the car that he needs to finish this.
Of course, as a driver, you want to run away with the championship, but when Titus takes the championship this year, he's going to really appreciate how hard he had to work, especially in these last few events to really clinch it.
It's comments like that that shows the faith they have in their top driver, and despite a 5th place start for Sunday's race, the mood is good within the team.
One thing that one of Titus's strengths this year that has really shined is just his composure, both on and off of the track. Not much rattles him. And even when we're communicating mid-race over the radio, very cool, calm, collective, and it's very reassuring for the team as well when you've got a driver that is just knocking out laps and just doing his job.
The start of race 2 couldn't have gone better. Passing Goling and Ambiado within the first few yards, he then went in pursuit of Ribeiro in 2nd, and again Christian Brooks leading. It was now or never for Titus, and he knew it. As he exits turn 1, he's behind his rival now in 3rd. But the race, as always, is another safety car littered, knockdown, drag out affair, wheel to wheel battle royal, and Titus is in the thick of it, racing for his future career.
Oh, I knew it was an important race. The second race at VIR was critical for the championship. I was right next to my championship rival Bruno and Nico, and I had a really good race. I had a good start, got up to 3rd behind Bruno, put pressure on him the entire race, and on a final restart, I got around him finally. And actually got shuffled back a bit to around 5th or so. So it was a really good points day. It actually got me into the lead of the championship. So VIR race 2 was pretty awesome. And happy to be leading the championship after that.
So after 2 years of hard racing, heartache and setback, joy and despair, Titus had prevailed at the crucial time. And he would now lead the championship by the slimmest of margins going into the final round at Barber, Alabama. Now he just needed to keep his head and finish the job off. And the Crosslink team were fully committed to that goal for the final 2 races. He did prevail, and he did go to Barber, and he did win the title. And finally, for Crosslink, in their first year, win the title, driver's title, which was a huge thing for his team boss. Titus, welcome to Speed City, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. That video was nice to see as well for me, so happy to be here.
Well, I think, I chose VIR because we haven't actually finished the Barber one yet. But I think actually that was pretty much, it was an encapsulation of everything you've been going through. What people didn't really, perhaps don't realize, it's that they had 4 half-point races. And it's a weird thing that they appoint half points when you don't get enough laps in, and it's the race director's decision. So instead of getting, win the race, but instead of getting 25 points, you get 12 and a half.
Because of like rain or accidents, red flags.
Whatever. And it's totally discretionary. And in fact, Titus told me this, no other championship that we know has that rule. So it's really set him back because if he'd had 25 points for all of those, he'd have won it by a country mile. But that's racing.
Now you say that. I mean, Formula One, when they had Remember what was the race where was it Singapore?
Yeah.
Where we really didn't even get a race, and and I don't think they gave full points for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yeah. And MotoGP has a 75% rule. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there was Spa a year or two ago.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
2-lap race. And Alain Prost won Monaco one year with Senna closing behind him, and the race was called prematurely because of rain, and because Alain Prost's buddy Jackie Eakes was the clerk of the course, and they said, "Okay, throw that checkered flag." And again, they offered half points. So it happens now and then, maybe more regularly than you expect.
So Titus, let me ask you this and make sure I got your career right. You started off with one race in F4 just to say, hey, I'll see if this works. Came back the next season, did a full race in F4. I mean, a full season in F4. Then went to FR in 24
with Kiwi.
Yeah, and you came in third in that championship. What'd you come in F4?
I came second in F4.
Second in F4, third in your first season in FR, basically F3, Formula Regional. And then this year you win the championship. It's a nice trajectory. So what's the dream? What's the dream? Are you you say I'm F1 or bust, or I'm going to be IndyCar or bust, or I'm going to be a professional driver? What do you think?
Definitely not F1 or bust. Mainly for me, just be a professional driver. I want to do this for a living and, quit the day job and figure that out. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there outside of open wheel as well. Like next year, I'm likely not going to be in open wheel anymore. It's not going to be hopefully for forever. Maybe I can find a budget to do Indy next at some point, but just be a professional driver somewhere. That's my main dream.
And you notice, for those of you watching on YouTube, Titus is actually in his sim rig, and he has his own team and regularly races in it, but also practices, and like most modern racing drivers, uses the sim as a huge tool. Tell us a little bit about that, because I'm sure some of the youngsters listening in will be very interested about what you do.
Yeah, I love sim racing, not only just for practicing for real life, but also as it's kind of its own thing, its own hobby in a way. My good friend who I raced against in F4, his name's Michael Costello. Halfway through our F4 season, or maybe at the beginning of it, we just came up with the idea of like, let's get a little group of guys together and kind of make this a official team to do some iRacing events in. And it kind of just took off from there. We kind of started off with around 8 people, and then we grew to feeling really big, and we had around 60, 70. And we've kind of scaled back a bit as it kind of became too much. And we've kind of focused more on quality than quantity now. So we have around 40 people. But it's a lot of fun to get together and practice for all the endurance races mainly. We do some IndyCar leagues and stuff, but doing the endurance races is a lot of fun. We won Daytona 24-hour this year, Indy 6-hour, and we had a car win the Road Atlanta Petit Le Mans as well. So it's been quite successful. And it's also just like it's related to real life racing, but in its own way, it's a separate passion of mine.
That's the real deal. iRacing and winning all that, right?
Yep.
I mean, I say real deal.
I have two questions for you, Titus. 2 questions, Titus. First is, when's the garage sale?
Yeah. For all the suits behind you.
The second one is, that's cool, keeping all that stuff there. But seriously, when did it all begin for you? Where'd you start out and decide, I really want to do this?
Well, I grew up loving cars, racing as well, but I loved the actual Cars Pixar movie. Like, it was my obsession when I was a little baby. And I think that's kind of where it started. And as well as the Speed Racer movie when that came out. But my dad raced in a bunch of different things. He actually raced skateboards mainly in the X Games back in the day. And he eventually switched to off-road trucks.
Really?
Yeah. And I actually started off in a class called Modified Carts in Lucas Oil Off-Road Series when I was around 10. I did that for around a year, and then we kind of stopped, didn't do that anymore. And then I went to COTA for the F1 race back in 2018. And that's what kind of sparked my interest into circuit racing and kind of diving into it. And I think I was in a go-kart around 2 months later. I convinced my family, I made a little presentation. I convinced some of my family members to help me pay for a singular test day in a go-kart, and it kind of just took off from there. And did go-karting for a couple of years, and then, as you guys say, I eventually got to F4, and here we are now. So it's been a long journey.
How old were you when you did that presentation?
Ooh, I think I was 13.
Okay.
So I made a PowerPoint. I probably still have it on my computer somewhere.
It's a PowerPoint.
It's a PowerPoint. I love it.
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint. Yeah.
I got
So
to
Titus,
go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say for young people who watch this show or who learn about your story as you progress up the ladder, they probably need the whole picture. And so I'm asking you, what was the biggest sacrifice you think you had to make in order to follow this dream of racing?
It's a lot of sacrifice for me, but also the people around me, especially. I don't think people understand how much a toll it can take on families as well. For me specifically, I actually dropped out. Well, I didn't drop out of school. I switched to homeschooling when I was 13 or 14, around kind of when go-karting started becoming serious, because I was missing too many days of school. So it kind of took a hit on my social life at that age. I didn't see my friends very much. And it's obviously at that time as well, I was, I actually was lying to my mom that I had a sponsor paying for our hotel rooms, but I was actually paying for them. So I was, trying to scramble around trying to find money to be able to do it. And that's kind of the biggest thing still happening right now is, the financial toll. I mean, my mom, I was very lucky that she got to come to Barber to see the championship win, but that was the first race she went to the whole year, because it's very expensive for a family to go to just one race weekend, the flights and the hotel room for 4 nights and stuff like that. So it's a lot of, and my mom's a single mom as well. And I have a little brother who's, luckily he's a bit grown up now. He's around 14, but earlier on when he was, 9, 10, she couldn't go to the races because she had to take care of him. And I had to go learn how to kind of be an adult early on and be by myself. So it caused me to grow up fast, I think. And, but it's such a cool environment to be in the racing world. Even though it, kind of cost me my social life a little bit earlier on, I kind of found a new group, a new home. I'd say pretty much all of my friends now I've met from racing. So it's a really awesome experience. But yeah, it could take a toll on the families, I'd say for sure. I'm the lucky one, I get to go race, but they have to, be the one to take time out of work and travel and stuff like that. So I'd say that's where the real sacrifice comes from.
We've heard that story over and over. The sacrifice story, family. Lewis Hamilton and his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
the Fittipaldi's going off to Europe, brothers.
Well, but we've seen people struggle, and it can be, if you're not careful, it can be devastating financially. For family and all that. So, Titus, that is a common theme. You gamble a lot on the future, but the fact that you have now won FR, I always feel like if you can win at that level, that it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you have a career as a sports car or race driver in general. But I feel like that's kind of it's real at that point. The dream is real, and you're this close. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm starting to feel that a bit. I'm having some conversations with different teams, and that's definitely been helping me, having that on my resume and helping with negotiations and stuff. And it definitely feels like I have more kind of options. I can kind of go more places now. It's definitely, kind of when you're in F4, I feel like you're still kind of a kid in a way. You still have ways to go, but now after doing 2 seasons in FR, I feel more established. And I feel like I can definitely, hopefully, make this a career soon. I'd like to do it next year. I actually had a potential opportunity to be being paid to race next year. It fell through, unfortunately, but having that on the table was kind of surreal that it was so close. So, hopefully it's a good sign of things to come.
Jonathan, we have some breaking news.
Do you have representation?
Go ahead.
Well, we did the breaking news
thing.
Breaking
news. Kyle Larson. Hang on. Kyle Larson has just won the NASCAR. And somewhat interesting, because I know Kyle Larson's already won the title before, but he got in trouble as a sim racer during the pandemic and lost his ride. And we've been talking to Titus about that, or about sim racing. And it may be virtual, but sometimes real world consequences can happen. And I'm happy because Kyle Larson is a great driver, great proponent of NASCAR, and is the new champion for 25.
So sorry, Titus. We had NASCAR breaking news. We had to break into the regular scheduled programming right there.
You had a question, Bob. Does he have representation?
Representation. Anybody to help you find opportunities?
I do it all by myself. I'm the one making the proposals and talking to the teams. My uncle, who's been a big help in my career, both financially and he's also kind of been like a father figure in a way to me.
Sure.
He helps a little bit on some of the negotiation sides, but I'd say it's mostly 90% me.
Wow.
And by the way, he's doing the PowerPoints, he's doing the presentations, he's doing all of this. You can't tell me that this is not its own form of education, own form of maturing and growing up.
It'll make him
being responsible. That's right. He's now ready for
life lessons.
Whatever he ends up doing, whatever you end up doing, Titus, the fact that you've put yourself in this position, single mom, your mom's working to keep the family going. This is phenomenal. Really.
It is a great story.
It's a great
story.
That's
I'm
right.
glad you got it now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been very lucky because I've been with Titus most of the season, and I've experienced it. So, and I've learned, having talked to him as much as I have. I tell you what, I do want to share with our on-air group and also my fellow presenters. We had a conversation, you and I, Titus, about being. We were talking Formula One, and I mentioned the fact that you came back from 40 points down or so and had won the title. And we started the program talking about Lando and Piastri, and it does make sense because you were up against teammates as well. But we talked about the hunter and the hunted. Why don't you tell us what you would prefer to be, Lando or Oscar at this point? Lando now leading the championship.
In this particular instance, I would say Lando. He has the momentum with him, and there is, kind of it is a mental game of being hunted versus being the hunter, like you said. But the swing with Oscar and how he's sort of fallen off a bit is a bit strange. I'm not sure if that's mental, if it's the car, what it is. I don't know if we'll ever really know. But I personally, I kind of like being the hunter. I kind of feel like when I have less pressure on my shoulders, I can just go out there and drive and have fun. And when you're having fun, the results kind of come themselves. Like going into Canada this year, I thought the championship was over, and then it kind of turned into my best weekend.
Swept it.
I kind of learned to take that approach. Yeah, right. So I learned to take that approach kind of on later in the season and kind of just not think about it. But in F1 in this particular instance, I'd definitely rather be Lando for sure.
Interesting.
Hey, what do you think about Max's sim racing exploits? Max and Lando and George and Charles all really got into...
The wife won't let that happen anymore with Charles.
Yeah. They got into it during the pandemic, big time. And we just got about a minute or so, or a couple of minutes left, Titus. But I just wanted to ask you about, what do you think about Max's exploits into sim racing? I personally think that's what made him instantly successful at the Nordschleife and the Nürburgring when he went out there in the F3 car, in the GT3 car, excuse me. And I know it's Max, but still, I just think I love the fact he's doing. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Max in particular has always been huge into sim racing, even before the pandemic. He's always been one of the best in the world on there as well. And it is sort of a separate talent, I would say. There's definitely guys that are good in the sim that aren't good in real life and vice versa. So for him especially, it's very impressive. And that's absolutely why he was as fast as he was at the Nürburgring immediately. When I go to a track that I've never been to before, but I've done it on iRacing a lot, it feels like I've already been there. The tracks on iRacing are so impressive, and there are little nuances with the cars. Like in the sim, you brake a little different, you do this a little different, but the idea is there. And the fact that he's able to be so competitive on the sim is very impressive. It's considering I don't know how he has the same 24 hours in a day that we do. To be honest, it's very impressive how he gets this all done while racing in Formula One.
Hey Titus, we're running out of time, but we've got thousands of millionaires who listen to the show. So make sure you give us your social and how to find you.
Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, it'll be Titus_Sherlock on Instagram and same on Facebook.
Nice. There you go.
Titus, by the way, we got some YouTubers watching. Andy P says, very impressive kid right there. Best of luck that Titus goes as far as he can. And I hope you guys like this content. I think it's fascinating to have, we talk F1 and everything all the time, but when we have an off week, we bring a young driver in like this, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
We don't get to that video you saw. We don't get to do that with Formula One. You don't get to hear from them that way. Honestly, on the sleeve from the team. They don't see each other's interviews, and so, I'm sure Titus was looking at that going, oh, that's nice from them to say that about me, because you don't get to see it, right, Titus?
Yeah, that's right. It's nice to, have our names get out there, and I appreciate you guys for having me on tonight. It's been a lot of fun, and I enjoy opportunities like this a lot.
All right, everybody. And by the way, you've seen lots of young drivers like Titus, including Lando Norris, Kyle Kirkwood, Lance Stroll,
Yeah.
on and on and on. They've all come on at Titus's age or younger, actually,
Yep,
quite
yep.
a bit younger. So
I think we pride ourselves in making sure people are aware of the next potential star.
yeah. All right. Well, we are done. Titus Sherlock, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We want to wish you the best of luck. Of course, we'll be watching.
We'll be following you. Yep.
Thanks, Jonathan Green. Thanks, Bob Varsha. Thanks to Casey Johns
for having
behind
me.
the
Appreciate
glass. Yep, you got it, Titus. All right, thanks, everybody. Wheel to Wheel on Wednesday and back to Formula One action next week.
Happy
Talk to you then.
trails.